Hi everybody, Chris Stokes from Custom Fitness Personal Training Studio, and today we're talking about the too often overlooked solution to achieving long-term relief from the majority of your pain problems. It's everywhere from commercials, the infomercials, on the radio, even talking to people and stuff. You see these silly things. So I love the infomercials where they're doing the crunches and they're talking about the pain in your neck and the pain in your back and all these things and how terrible it is. And they make it look so awful, right? Well, we suffer from those things. We suffer from neck pain and back pain, but why? We suffer from them because we're at work all day, right? Or maybe we're, going out doing things that maybe we haven't trained to do, or we haven't taught our bodies how to do them right. So what is the solution right now? Well, if you go back to the TV, you're looking at anything from aspirin to pain relief cream to braces to even TENS units that you can wear on that help to relieve that pain. The problem is that you're basically putting a Band-Aid over the pain. You haven't created a solution. You haven't taken away that pain 100%. And so what happens when you put a Band-Aid on is you have to take it off and put more on, right? So if you put on a cream, you constantly got to put on more cream. If you're taking a pill, you got to take more pills. And there's some pains I'll give you that we need those things for, and that's fine. But if that's the only route that you're looking at to take away this pain and become your solution to long-term relief, then you've got some issues there because you're not going to find that long-term relief from a Band-Aid solution. So what we've got to look at it is really from a different angle. So there was this commercial where this guy was going and picking up tennis balls all the time, right? And so he'd run out and he'd grab the tennis ball and come back. And the commercial was for a pain relief cream, I believe. And he'd run out and he'd grab the tennis ball and he'd yell out, grab his back, and stand back up and run back over. And they made this huge thing about it, of course, because they want you to know that he's in a lot of pain and he had to use this cream because they're willing to sell you anything. Well, if we take that same picture and we look at it from a different angle and we start to realize that perhaps he is not bending down correctly, perhaps he is flexing his spine incorrectly and not using his core to support him when he does that, it may sound silly, but that's enough to give you back pain over time. And the only silliness there is the fact that as we grow, for some reason, we decide that we shouldn't have to think about how our bodies contract, that we shouldn't have to hold our stomachs in or lift or move properly. And the truth is that our bodies were always meant to have that intentional focus. We're always meant to use that intentional focus. And for some people who say long ago did hard labor every day, or maybe they do it now, they've taught their bodies how to do that automatically, so they don't have to think as hard. But for those of you who maybe sit at a desk all day, or even moms with kids, we get so tired, we're in the same positions all the time, and then we've got these heavy loads to pick up, and all of a sudden you reach down, pick it up, and you've done something wrong. I actually have a client who had to take a break for a while because she had been in her fitness journey, and then she had stopped exercising and kind of gone into a different realm of life for a little bit. And during that different realm of life, she reached down to pull a weed out of her driveway. Since then, she's had a back surgery to fuse two vertebrae and many hours of physical therapy to work through the issue that she caused just from pulling that one weed. Now, after she got through the healing process of that, went through physical therapy, then she came to us and was able to rebuild past functional, because therapy always takes you to functional, which is great. And then now we can take her into optimal, where she can move and be herself the way that she needs to be. But just that one thing, just bending over picking up a weed, caused her to really severely hurt her back in such a way that she had to have surgery for it. So if we just took a little time to kind of shift our perspective a little bit, again, take it from a different angle, and we look at the actual cause of the pain rather than just covering it up with a cream or an aspirin or a brace or whatever it may be, but actually figure out what the cause of the pain is. Perhaps it falls in one of the top three categories, which is usually going to be your posture, your movement patterns, and your activity level. So posture, if you're not engaging and intentional about your posture, and that's not just pulling your shoulders back and it's not sucking in, it's actually standing correctly to where your body is fully aligned and fully stabilized. So we hear a lot of buzz these days about the core, right? Everybody wants to work their core. Everybody's planking, everybody's doing burpees because we need to work the core. The question is, do you know what the core is? The core is actually your entire torso, front, back, and sides, without your arms, legs, and head. So everything from your chest to your abdomen, your upper back, back to your lower back and all down your sides is involved in the core. And what is the point of the core? To stabilize our bodies in any movement so that we can maintain a safe and stable spine at all times. Because if you break your spine, you have problems, right? So that's the goal of the core, is to really support and stabilize our entire body, but especially that spinal column. So if we're looking at posture and we start to correct our posture by engaging the core, not sucking in, we're not trying to be skinny, we're not trying to get taller, we're trying to stand so correctly that our body can't help but work right. So think about a column under a strong roof, right? So if you have a column of a building and you have a very heavy roof here, and that column happens to be leaning, you're probably not going to have a column for very long or a roof for very long, right? Happens, for the most part, engineering needs to be strong and stable directly underneath. Well, we carry ourselves a lot of times like that column that's pulled out to the side. A lot of times we're leaning, we're shifting weight one side or the other. We're doing things that don't really make sense to our body, but our body deals with it. So what we've got to do is start to bring our body into that better straight up position so that it can be fully supported at all times. All right, the second part is movement patterns. Just like that guy picking up the tennis ball, if you are moving incorrectly, your body is more likely to become injured. So if you learn how to move correctly, then you're less likely to become injured, right? It only makes sense. So how do we learn to move correctly? Well, that's where high quality trainers come in, to be able to teach you correct movement patterns. Now you may think, oh, that's silly, I've been moving my whole life, I know how to move. And that's great, but I can't tell you the number of people that come into us and don't know how to do a lunge without hurting their knees, or how to do a squat without hurting their knees. The problem is squatting is sitting in a chair and standing up, right? That's a squat. So if you can't do that without knee pain, you're going to have a very fatiguing day. You're either going to be in bed all day long or you're going to be on your feet all day long. If you've got issues with the plantar fasciitis or things like that, there's a lot of times movement patterns that are causing that can be easily corrected. Same thing with neck strain and shoulder strain, upper back. We can get those to relieve themselves when we learn proper posture and movement patterns. So when we put those two together, it becomes an unbeatable team. All right, so the third part is activity level. If you have too much activity, you could cause an injury, right? If we go too far, we overtrain, we weaken the body, and we don't get good things. However, if we're sedentary and we're not moving, we also risk injury because our body is not strong enough to do what we're asking it to do. So we really do have to meet in the middle. We've got to find that sweet spot where the two come together, where we've got just enough exercise to make sense to our body, help it to stay healthy and function well, which is also going to help you to lose weight and to lose inches and body fat and all those things, but not go so crazy that we overtrain the system and our body can't fully function anymore. So we have to find that sweet spot in the middle. So how do you do that? I'm a little biased. I'm going to say hiring a training team is the best way you can do that, because it's not your full-time job to know all the ins and outs of fitness. We've been led to believe that it is. In America, we're led to believe that in fitness, we are supposed to just know what to do. Nutrition too. We're just supposed to know what to do and do it. And you know what that leads to? A lot of feelings of failure, a lot of depression over the fact that people don't feel like they can do it. They try, they do their best. Maybe you've been in that battle. Maybe you've tried your very best and it just hasn't worked. Well, the problem is it's not your full-time job. It's our full-time job. We do the research constantly. We stay up to date on our certifications. We stay up to date with the latest and greatest information about efficient and effective strategies, not the fads coming in and going out. That's not as important as the foundational approach of effectiveness. So our goal is to be able to provide that to you. And just like I wouldn't go and tell the dentist I'm going to pull my own tooth, I would recommend that if you're trying to fix some pains, that you get some help with that, because pain is something that can definitely be made worse if not done correctly. So if we can train correctly, we can typically reduce pain within a matter of weeks, depending on what pain it is, obviously. But if that's something that you're struggling with, if you have issues of chronic pain or just some odd things happening that you're not quite sure how to fix, we'd be happy to sit down and talk with you. Give us a call, 806-322-3188. We'd be happy to just see if we're the right fit for you and see if there's something we could do to help. And if not, we've got some great friends that we can refer you out to that might be the best fit for you. So hope you have a great day. Now quit putting a Band-Aid on it and figure out what the actual problem is. We'll talk to you soon.